I have tried both MDA and 2CT-2 on their own. I usually take 125 to 140 of MDA, and the one time I have tried 2CT-2 I took 26, but this time I combined them. Let me stress that these two synthesized perfectly. I mean that genuinely. I was not aware of their effects separately. I seemed to be tripping on one substance that showed symptoms of both and some new ones of its own. Also, I am pretty confident, though I didn't make it myself, that I was taking 125 mg of pure MDA. This was not some club biscuit. This was a gel cap hand-filled by a friend. The 2CT-2 is unscheduled, so we just ordered it from a commercial supplier. At approx. 9:30 p.m. I ingested gel caps containing the above, simultaneously. By T+1.5 both were in full effect and seemed to plateau at about a +2.5 to a +3 experience, which lasted for nearly 10 hours. 11:30 p.m., T+2 o'clock. I have pretty good persistence of vision going here. Sitting in a chair on the upper floor of the party I'm at, I can see 1 to 2 foot trails of purple that have rainbow edges and a nice rainbow end coming off a friend of mine who is pacing in front of the doorway to a kitchen. This is heightened because he is silhouetted by the light coming out of the kitchen, but now that I've noticed how powerful the persistence of viz is, I can clearly see it coming off my hands when I sweep them into my field of vision from above or behind. 1 a.m., T+3.5. I figure that I'm about peaking here, so I expect that this is when I'll feel least able to, competently, converse with others. Not so on the Vistavision. 2CT-2 is fairly clear-headed, as is MDA, but still. Tripping hard on two powerful entheogens generally leaves one a little, if not befuddled, at least less inclined to talk to people that are completely straight, even if they are good friends. 4 a.m., T+6.5. Goddamn, these visuals are here to stay. The trails have shortened a bit, but the color shifting between areas of light and dark contrast has actually intensified. Emotionally I am up and aware, but I have none of the jaw or other muscle clenching common with the methylated amphetamines. At this point, someone who is tripping on 2CT7 and MDMA, orally, is asking my advice because she doesn't feel the 2CT7. I begin by telling her that one should probably treat an ingested psycho that one is not feeling, like a firework that has been lit, sizzled, and then done nothing. Treat it like it's still alive and be prepared for it to go off at any given moment. Sure enough, as our conversation progresses and I ask her specific questions about what type of effects she is feeling, she reports visuals that are not known to come from MDMA. Specifically, she mentioned seeing trails and rainbow dots everywhere. The 7-up, 2CT7, had taken hold, but meshed with the E so well she was having trouble telling the two apart. Lucky girl. I stayed up until about 11 p.m. on Sunday, for various reasons. I think I could have slept at about T+6 or 7, but this was one of those days of partying that went from 4:20 p.m. on Saturday till after the X-Files on Sunday winking face. And to the end, even a hit of the swag that I had been smoking for 2 days could bring back rainbow color shifted fractal-shaped dots at edges of high contrast. Overview. I give Vistavision, MDA, 2CT2, my highest recommendation. A fairly experienced psychonaut friend of mine remarked upon taking T2 that it would make a good, starter, psychedelic. It has a very mild head load and shift stimulation from tactile to visual to auditory in the space of an hour at its peak. The rest of the time it seems to chameleon onto whatever you're paying attention to. Watching a movie about the Last Supper? The robes melt. Listening to Zeppelin 2? Though I listen to this all the time. Jimmy Page brought conversation to a halt and elicited a "duh amen." The synthesis with MDA was stellar. It felt like a psychoactive club sandwich with the T2 just on top of the MDA and whatever else I applied to my psyche, dope, later whippets, and then still later great sex, underneath, and only bringing the effects of the flip more to the forefront. I attribute this to the MDA. Specifically, I have noticed that when on an MDA trip a joint or bowl only seems to heighten the effects of the amphetamine. The trip was absolutely centered around heightening but not overly distorting my visual field. I was fortunate enough to be at a party with a Galleria Psychedelica, with various 2 and 3D works created with a potentially tripping audience in mind, and things were just swimming. Yet I was coherent enough to talk about the flow, line quality and contrasting directions of the work with someone totally straight and not come off like a total simp. I've spent some time trying to come up with a balance to this report, another shoe to drop if you will, I.e., but I had a headache for 2 days. Nope. But I couldn't get it up for 3 days. Had sex at T+20. But really, as long as you don't do this combo all the time, it's not too bad on the bod or soul. I had a great time that night even though I'd done an eighth of mushrooms and 75 megagrams of E the night before. This reminds me that I had quality set and setting for this trip. A good mix of people, heads and not, and an annual meat-burning brain food taking party to be at. This is critical, IMHO, to a really positive experience. I've had girlfriends complain that MDA is always tough on them and MDA does seem to rack one's immune system. But I give this combo 2 purple trailed rainbow sparkling thumbs up.